Tuesday Seventh-day Adventists, a revival of original Adventism and ancient Christianity, presents Escape for Thy Life, a program explaining prophecy, current affairs, theological issues, rights and freedoms, health issues, natural disasters, comparative religion, pioneer history, creation versus evolution, escape for thy life. Good day, this is Brother Medina for Tuesday Seventh-day Adventist. And please let us start with a word of prayer. Loving Father, please be with us as we enter into this session. Bless everyone listening and help them to understand the latest things that are going on. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen. Well, today our topic is Overthrowing the Republic. Overthrowing the Republic. And I am sitting here in the living room before the computer and looking at many important things that are being revealed for all of us to show us how late time is. And as Trinidad and Tobago celebrates Republic Day in a couple of weeks from now, we need to understand very carefully the importance of what a republic is to Trinidad and Tobago. As Trinidad and Tobago celebrate a republic very soon, we need to be mindful as to exactly what is a republic. Our study today is going to show that America, that has a republican constitution and is a republic, is going away from republicanism, as republicanism is being overthrown by laws that go against the rights and freedoms of the people of that country. And in Trinidad and Tobago, we need to be warned. We need to make sure that government does not enact laws that overthrow the great republic that was so wisely given to us by the founding father of this country. So we need to get into various important things that explains what is going on today in the United States of America. The United States of America was set up as a constitutional republic. That means the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, was supposed to be the overriding principles used to govern the citizens of that country. And this is the same thing that is expected in Trinidad and Tobago. The Constitution is supposed to be the guiding influence for any government that came in power. Yes, my dear people, but there is something going on in the United States of America. You see, republicanism identifies that the rights and freedoms of man are, number one, inalienable, and number two, inviolable. What does this mean? Inalienable means that the rights and freedoms of man does not come from man, it does not come from the legislator, it does not come from Parliament or Congress, it does not come from the stroke of a pen. Rather, the rights and freedoms of man come from God. They are natural rights and freedom. And these freedoms, these rights, all originated in God. And this is what inalienable means. And inviolable means those rights and freedoms are not to be violated by legislation, by any human enactments, or any form of tyrannical government practice. So those rights are supposed to be inalienable. They are also supposed to be inviolable. But today the United States of America is going away from all of this. In fact, in my Bible here, if I turn to the book of Revelation, chapter 13, and I read verse 11, this is a prophecy of the United States of America. And here's what it tells us, I quote, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." End of quote. Now, this power having two horns. One horn is religion, one horn is government. They were both lamb-like. Lamb-like religion is Protestantism. A lamb-like horn of government is republicanism. But we are told it spake like a dragon, and the dragon is the devil and Satan. This means that the government of the United States of America, also the religion, will begin to speak like the devil. And when a government speaks like the dragon, we know that it is taking away your rights and freedoms. And this is what we want to show you is going. The republic is falling. Republicanism is going away from America. And we want to show you in a series of clips that this is happening. In this first clip that you are looking at here, you would see Mr. Aaron Russo explaining that America is a republic, not a democracy. Pay attention very carefully to what he's saying.
The very fact is that if you ask 100 people on the street, what kind of government is America supposed to be? 99% of them will tell you a democracy. America is supposed to be a democracy. But that's a lie. That's an illusion. The word democracy is not written into the Constitution at one time. It's not in the Bill of Rights. It's not in the Declaration of Independence. The Founding Fathers hated the idea of a democracy. They thought it was the worst form of government there is. And I agree with them. Because in a democracy, 51% of the people control 49% of the people. If you're part of the 49%, you're not free. America was founded as a constitutional republic. And in that constitutional republic that we have, 99% of the people can't take away the rights of 1%. You have your rights because you were born with them. You have God-given human rights that nobody can take away from you. The government, the majority, no matter who they are, I can't take away your rights. And that's what our founding fathers gave us. But the psychological operations that they do to us, they make us believe that we're a democracy and that majority rules. You see? And they want you to believe that. Because then they tell you this poll says this many want this and this many want that and this many want this, and it doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Well, Hitler was elected.
Hitler was elected. Hitler did everything legally.
And in a constitutional republic, a minority is protected against a majority. Wasn't it Benjamin Franklin, to paraphrase, that said democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner?
Exactly. And then he also said in a republic, the sheep would have a gun to protect himself. You know, and that's the truth. America is not a democracy, but you ask the most intelligent people what form of government America is supposed to be, they'll say a democracy. Because that's what they've been brainwashed. They've been psyoped into believing that. They believe that we're in Iraq, They believe we're in Iraq to promote democracy. The word democracy, you hear George Bush saying democracy means freedom. No, democracy equals New World Order. Democracy equals slavery. The word democracy is not synonymous with freedom. It's the opposite of freedom. Democracy is the worst form of government you can have because it's majority rule. And the government can tell you exactly what they want to tell you to do because the majority wants it. I don't care what the majority wants. I live my life as I choose. And if I don't commit violence, theft, or fraud against another human being, I can live my life as I wish. That's my choice. And if I'm allowed to make mistakes, because when you make mistakes, you learn from them. You grow as a human being. We're put on this earth to become the best individuals we can be, to fulfill our God-given potential. Right? We're not here to put on this earth so the government can tell us how to live our lives and what we must do. We put into these systems and these paradigms. No. The same thing in health. You know, if you're sick, you have to have a certain protocol. Nonsense. You know, be individuals. Think for yourself. Have critical thinking.
Yes, my dear people. And this is what America is. It is a republic, not a democracy. Trinidad and Tobago also is a republic, not a democracy. However, but the Republic of the United States of America is being overthrown by many laws that are now being enacted, especially by the Obama administration. In fact, a new law by the name of ENDA that destroys the notion of inviolable rights and freedoms and is now being considered to be passed through the federal government all over America. Here, take a look at this clip about this law.
Religious freedom, freedom of speech, often referred to as our first freedoms. How important are they to you as an American? What if they were taken away? Would you miss them? Well, you may not have to wait very long to find out. I'm holding in my hand the latest assault on our first freedoms. It's called ENDA, the Employment Non-Discrimination Act. I call it the end of religious liberty and free speech in America.
Everyone who has at all their finger on the pulse of culture knows full well what's ahead.
We should be protecting people from discrimination based on actions and not on perception.
All 2,500 employees of Christian Horizons were required to go through human rights training.
The immediate threat to employers if this law passes and is enacted is serious.
So the economic burden on Christian organizations will be enormous from the very outset.
What will happen if ENDA passes is every one of those institutions could be in jeopardy.
One of the side effects of this entire ordeal for us is that we no longer do weddings here.
ENDA, hate crimes, these legislative strategies are designed, I think, to force Americans to change their opinions and have their opinions and worldviews chilled if they don't.
No one ever imagines that they're going to lose their job because of their religious beliefs.
We have to always be fearful when the government mandates behavior that will constrain our speech. And in the case of ENDA, if passed, it will clearly constrain the free speech and free exercise rights of religious organizations.
Put an end to ENDA.
Yes, my dear people. In this clip, you will get further evidence of the anti-rights and anti-freedom nature of this new ENDA law. In fact, it is being practiced in some areas of the United States, and it has already taken away the religious liberty and the freedom of expression of Christians. Look at this clip.
Thomas Jefferson, one of our most well-known founding fathers, said, "When the people fear their government, there is tyranny. But when the government fears the people, there is liberty." The problem with ENDA is that it fosters government tyranny. Businesses, nonprofits, and even churches will find themselves the target of government-funded witch hunts for failing to hire not only those whose public behavior many consider immoral, but those who actively promote the forced acceptance of this behavior. When a homosexual, a transvestite, or cross-dresser you choose not to hire can make a simple phone call and sic the federal government on your small business or ministry, it creates certain levels of fear among employees and management alike. So ENDA brings with it a tremendous economic burden, and ultimately consumers like you and me will have to pay the price.
Well, ENDA is the latest effort on the part of the gay rights movement to establish a special right for homosexuals in the area of employment practices.
An employer who is covered by ENDA, the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, would be required to hire a homosexual if they were otherwise superficially qualified, and if they didn't, they would be sued, could lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages, and have to pay attorney's fees. Or if they have an employee who decides to come out as a homosexual and indicate that they're going to be an open homosexual on the workplace, and you decide that that's an inappropriate position to be filled by that person, any adverse decision, hiring or firing or failing to promote that person could result in a lawsuit and, again, hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages.
This is an act that has been rejected multiple times in the past by Congress and the White House, but now for the first time it is poised to be passed. One of the controversial portions of ENDA has to do with its indoctrination into federal law of the notions of sexual orientation and gender identity. And when we come to understand what these phrases mean, we can see how dangerous of a law this is going to come to be.
For example, we have a daycare center which has several hundred students in it every day, as well as the church, and we may hire 40 or 50 people just for the daycare. And in total, 60 to 75 employees on our overall ministry team. In these areas, we have an exposure that folks who don't understand our mission may say, you're being discriminatory. But in reality, we want people to work for us who share our common vision of what the scripture says about lifestyle, morality, and sexuality.
Where we'd be forced to hire those that are homosexual to be even as associate pastors or pastors in our churches. That is a matter of time, and anybody who's in denial of that really is taking an ostrich approach. They're oblivious to the currents that are moving so rapidly.
The very first thing that any government legislation or regulation imposes on every organization subject to it is enormous cost burdens to comply with it. You've got to make sure that you're filling out all the right forms. You've got to make sure that you're dealing with the federal bureaucracy on every point. And so there's a compliance cost that's built into this. But the real cost is the cost of defending yourself against lawsuits if you assert that you have First Amendment freedoms that protect you from having to comply with these regulations.
You may have to look around the workplace and see posters that promote biblical views of marriage and decide whether or not you're going to keep those posters up, because they would be deemed to be harassment against people who are homosexuals.
The saddest part about this legislation, I think, from just a due process standpoint, is that the burden of proof is on you as an employer that you haven't discriminated against the homosexual who's applied for work.
For-profit organizations where the CEO or the owner who has a Christian worldview or a faith-based approach to the place of employment is going to come under ENDA. They're going to be required, if they have 15 or more employees, to obey the prescriptions of ENDA, which means that they can't not hire homosexuals who are superficially qualified. They can't fire persons who come out in terms of their homosexuality in the workplace.
You know, on Capitol Hill, as we say, at the end of the day, ENDA and hate crimes are really a form of economic terrorism. They hold an extortion-like threat over your head and say that if you don't submit, you will pay for it in legal fees and in judgments and in pain and suffering in court for years to come. And some people will stand against that. Some people don't have the resources to stand against that. Others, sadly, are going to cut and run. And that is the great pity of the whole thing.
Thomas Jefferson said in his autobiography, "Were we directed from Washington when to sow and when to reap, we would soon want bread." This administration has already orchestrated ambitious federal takeovers of whole industries, the banking industry, the auto industry, and they're still attempting to take over the healthcare industry, not to mention energy industry through the cap and trade proposal. INDA is yet another example of the federal government gone wild, imposing burdensome legislations on American businesses. Do we really need more government regulations? Put an end to INDA.
Yes, my dear people. So the United States of America is going away from republicanism, and we have to be very careful in this country that we too do not go away from republicanism. Now, a new political party has been formed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is called the Democratic Republican Party. We want you to observe in this clip how the founder accurately explains the difference between democracy and republicanism. Pay attention to this clip as you see the founder explain the difference between democracy and republicanism. This is needed in America, and Trinidad and Tobago need to pay careful attention to such a thing like this.
I wish to talk to you about the newest political party on the block, as we would say, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is the Democratic Republican Party, the DRP. By now, some of you would know that I announced this party on Thursday, 23rd of August, where I had a press conference at the French's house, and I announced that I had decided to form this party based on my convictions and the many calls and requests I had received from you, the people, to propose a genuine alternative to governance here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Democratic Republican Party, DRP, stands for, I should say, two main beliefs. We believe in democracy. That's where we get the part democratic from. We believe in democracy as a method of electing governments. That is where persons who are eligible to vote from 18 years and over, they vote and the majority rules, as you know, in our system. We believe that this is a good method of electing governments into office. Hence, we are called democratic. What about the part Republican? Well, this stands for our belief in a philosophy of governance called republicanism. And republicanism simply says that when a party is governing in a country, it must govern based upon respect for the rights and freedoms of all of the people, not just regard for the majority who elected it, not just regard for an elite or special minority, but governing with respect for the rights and freedoms of all of the people. In other words, a Democratic Republican Party would ensure that even though a majority elected it, using the method of democracy, when it is governing, it will work for and protect the rights and freedoms of all of the people, not just the majority, not just the minority, but both majority and minorities. This is a very important philosophy of governance, my dear people, because what it does is, if you are true to this philosophy, it ensures that victimization and other discrimination against people on the grounds of their own disagreement or differences in beliefs, etc., do not take place. And this is very key, because what we've seen in this country is that we've seen governments come and go who, when they get the majority votes and they get into office, they tend to treat only those who voted for them or those who supported them with respect, and those who did not support them, their opponents, they disregard. This is not right, because government is for all of the people, not just those who elected them. When you become a representative in an area, you're not just the representative for the majority who elected you to be representative. You're now representative for the entire constituency, and as a result, you're supposed to serve ensuring that all of the people in the constituency are represented by respecting the rights and freedoms of all your constituents, not just those who elected you. And so this is what the Democratic Republican Party stands for. Don't let anyone tell you it is a confusion or a mixing up of ideas because of things that they have in their minds concerning the distinction between the Democrats and the Republicans in America. This is not about a two-party coming together. This is about a philosophy of governance and a method of electing government coming together. The method of democracy, every eligible person votes and majority rules, and the philosophy of governance called republicanism, which means that when government rules, it rules ensuring respect for the rights and freedoms of all of the people, both the majority who elected it and also the minority who may not have elected it. And so this is what essentially the name Democratic Republican stands for in the name of the party, Democratic Republican Party, DRP. And so we say, I am a Democratic Republican, I am a DRP, or I am a DR, as you would say.
Yes, my dear people, because republicanism in the United States of America is going, strange things are happening all over the country. In this clip, we want you to pay careful attention to. You're going to see there's a flag raising ceremony with a lot of military people in a very large area, in a very large stadium. And you will observe that the American flag is being lifted. As you read on the clip, you will see they're singing the national anthem of the United States of America. And as they're singing this national anthem, the writings are right there in this clip. You are going to follow reading it, and you would see, just as they show that the flag is raised and it remains forever, you would see suddenly the flag drops while the other flags remain, and the whole auditorium went up in a noise. This is a symbol that America is destroying republicanism by such laws that are being enacted by the current administration and of course by others before it. Pay attention to this clip. Wasn't this horrible? Of course it was horrible. Of course it was embarrassing. Of course it was shameful. And we here in Trinidad and Tobago need to make sure that we do not have laws passed by the Equal Opportunities Commission that will take away the rights and freedoms of Bible-believing Christians or of people because of their belief system. We must make sure that the government respect the fact that Trinidad and Tobago is a republic. You see, my dear people, we need to celebrate the republicanism of our constitution. To celebrate a republic means that you are celebrating the fact that your rights and freedoms come from God. And this is what you need to do. Celebrate the fact that your rights and freedoms come from God. This is what you should be doing in Republic Day that is coming up very soon. Finally, if anyone wants this DVD, this film, all you have to do is to call us at 625-0446. 625-0446, and we will send this DVD for you and further information. And what you are seeing before you here are the various web addresses for Tuesday Seventh-day Adventists. We even have a channel, an internet channel for television, and also one for radio, where you can get television programs and radio programs and of course other booklets downloaded. So may God bless you as you seek to do the right thing in Jesus' holy name. Amen.